He only had one eye, and somehow that was enough to see everything that mattered. His name was Rusty, a ginger tabby with a coat the color of autumn leaves and a gaze so steady, so unhurried, that the shelter volunteers called it his superpower. Not because he was fast, not because he was loud, but because when Rusty looked at you with that one amber eye, you felt like the only person in the world. Nobody knew exactly what had happened to his right eye. The intake form said injury prior to rescue. The vet noted scarring consistent with an untreated infection, likely from months on the streets. She estimated he was around 3 years old when he arrived, which meant he had spent at least 2 of those years completely alone, navigating alleys and cold nights and hunger with half his vision and all of his heart. Whatever it was, it had left him with a clouded, pale iris that could no longer see, and it had left most families walking right past him. For 14 months, Rusty sat in the same kennel at Maplewood Rescue. Families came in on weekends, they walked the rows, they stopped at the kittens, the fluffy ones, the ones with matching eyes and perfect coats. They glanced at Rusty. They moved on. One volunteer, a woman named Linda who had worked there for 9 years, wrote in his file after month 6, "He watches the door every morning, never stops hoping, breaks my heart every single time." But what happened on a rainy Thursday in November, nobody could have predicted. Sarah wasn't even supposed to be there that day. She had dropped her daughter Emma off at a birthday party 2 blocks away and had 40 minutes to fill. She almost went to the coffee shop. Instead, she pushed open the door to Maplewood Rescue because she had driven past it 100 times and never once gone in. She told herself she was just looking. Emma had been asking for a cat for 2 years. Sarah had been saying no for just as long. Their apartment allowed pets. That wasn't the problem. The problem was that 6 months earlier, their family cat of 11 years, a gray tabby named Winston, had passed away quietly in his sleep, and Sarah hadn't been ready. She walked the rows slowly, hands in her pockets. She noticed the kittens tumbling over each other in their enclosure. She smiled at a sleek black cat stretched out on a shelf like he owned the place. And then she reached the end of the row, and she stopped. Rusty was sitting perfectly upright in his kennel, not pressed against the door, not performing, just sitting, calm, still, watching you with that one amber eye the way an old friend watches you from across the room, like he already knew her, like he had been expecting her. Sarah stood there for a long moment without saying anything. She wasn't sure why she couldn't move. Linda appeared beside her a minute later. "That's Rusty," she said. "He's been with us 14 months. "What happened to his eye?" asked Sarah. "Street injury, couldn't be saved, but he's completely healthy, adjusted perfectly." She paused. "He's the gentlest animal I've ever worked with, but most people see the eye and keep walking." Sarah looked at Rusty. Rusty looked at Sarah. He blinked once, slowly, the way cats do when they trust you. "Can I sit with him for a minute?" she asked. They opened the kennel door. Rusty didn't rush out. He waited until Sarah settled cross-legged on the floor, and then he walked to her carefully, deliberately, and stepped directly into her lap. He turned once. He settled. He began to purr. And Sarah sat there on the floor of Maplewood Rescue with a one-eyed ginger cat in her lap and felt something she hadn't felt in 6 months, like the house might be okay again. If you're still here and this story is sitting with you the way it sat with us, take a second and subscribe. Every story like Rusty's deserves to be heard. She called her husband from the parking lot. "I think I found our cat," she said. There was a pause. "I thought you were just getting coffee," he said. "So did I," she said. Emma didn't find out until the next morning. Sarah had gone back alone that evening to fill out the paperwork, pay the adoption fee, and arrange the pickup. She wanted to see Emma's face when she met him for the first time. She wasn't disappointed. Emma walked into the living room at 8:14 a.m. on a Saturday and found Rusty sitting in the middle of the floor looking at her with that one steady amber eye. She dropped to her knees immediately. She didn't reach for him. She just sat there, very still, the way children sometimes instinctively know to do. Rusty studied her for exactly 7 seconds. Then he walked over, pressed his forehead against hers, and stayed there. Emma wrapped her arms around him so carefully, so gently, like she understood without being told that he had been waiting a long time for someone to hold him like that. She whispered something into his fur. Sarah, watching from the doorway, didn't catch the words. She didn't need to. From that morning on, they were inseparable. Rusty slept at the foot of Emma's bed every night. When Emma did her homework at the kitchen table, Rusty sat beside her laptop and watched the screen with focused concentration, as if he were checking her work. When Emma had a hard day at school and came home quiet and heavy, Rusty found her within minutes. He didn't meow, he didn't demand attention, he simply appeared beside her, settled close, and purred. That low, steady sound that said, "I'm here, you're not alone, I've got you." There were moments that stopped Sarah completely. The afternoon she came home to find Emma asleep on the couch with Rusty curled against her chest, both of them breathing in the same slow rhythm. The morning Emma missed the school bus and cried at the kitchen table, and Rusty climbed directly into her lap and pressed his head under her chin without being asked. He stayed there for 22 minutes. She timed it without meaning to. She just stood in the kitchen doorway watching them, unable to move, unable to speak, because what she was seeing was so quietly extraordinary that she didn't want to disturb it. The evening, a thunderstorm rolled in, and Emma, who had always been afraid of thunder, sat through the whole thing without coming to get her parents, because Rusty was already there. Sarah stood in the hallway that night and listened to the rain and the distant thunder and the faint sound of purring from behind Emma's bedroom door. She thought about 14 months. She thought about all the families who had walked past that kennel. She thought about Linda writing in his file after month 6, "He watches the door every morning, never stops hoping." She thought about how close she had come to going to the coffee shop instead. She thought about a one-eyed ginger cat sitting perfectly still, watching the door every morning, never once stopping. He had lost one eye to a world that wasn't always kind, but the eye he kept, he used it to find exactly where he was supposed to be. And once he found her, he never looked anywhere else. Some bonds don't need to be explained. Some loves don't need perfect symmetry to be whole. Rusty didn't see the world in full the way others did, but he saw Emma completely. He saw her on her best days and her hardest ones. He saw her when she was too tired to speak and when she was too sad to move. He showed up for every single one. And that, it turned out, was everything. Do you believe the animals who have been through the most are the ones who love the deepest? Or is that just something we tell ourselves because we need it to be true? Tell me in the comments.